Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Veterans Room. I'm your host, Nick Deus, at The Lamb Show on all social media outlets. Joining me, my guy, ALLEN. What up?
Oh, what's going on?
Good, man. Good. Wild week for me. A lot been going on. A lot of meetings. I've been apartment hunting. Have you looked for apartments recently? Or you? Well, actually, you recently just moved.
Yeah.
Right?
I've done apartment hunting in the past, but it hasn't gone too much for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is pretty expensive, number one. Broker fees are not a good time. Man, a lot of money like up front, dude. Like
They're
ridiculous.
demanding.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a spot for like a studio setup. More so do like 3-4 days a week down there, most of the time up here and whatnot. Like I wouldn't really bring any of my stuff outside of like maybe my desk setup, a bunch of clothes, and my dresser. Like I'd plan on getting my own sort of like a twin size bed, something small in a room just to not take up too much space. Treat it like a workspace kind of, you know.
How long has this been going on?
About 3 weeks now.
Okay.
But
damn.
I spent all day Saturday, bro, just looking at apartments, running around and shit. Man, it's just such a hassle. If you guys have ever gone apartment shopping, especially in the city, bro, it's just the Astoria, New York City, like the actual Manhattan, borough of Manhattan.
What about LIC?
Oh, LIC is a shit show. It's more expensive there than it is in like in the city right now.
Damn.
Craziness.
Yeah, I was there Saturday. My buddy has a new place. He has like 3 other roommates in LIC. So I was there. I was like, man, this is so high end.
Yeah, and it's also very. It's the commute, right? It's such a short commute getting into New York City, and it's just like the booming spots right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember listening to Malcolm Gladwell one time, and he mentioned how you could tell how well a city is doing by how many cranes you see being operated. Shout out to my guy Ralph, Crane Gang. He's a crane operator. But yeah, man, that's something cool. Like they say Seattle is booming, Pittsburgh is booming.
Love Pittsburgh, man. I was there last year. Oh,
dude, I've never been.
Great city.
You know Danny and some of the listeners here that listen to D-Generation Bets. He's my co-host on there for the most part, and he's a big Steeler fan, and he tries to go to a game every year. And one of my buddies, Nick, who my best friend from college, actually had him on the podcast over the summer. He's a nutritionist and has trained some like high-end athletes. He's a big Steeler fan, and they're like, dude, Pittsburgh's such a dope city to go to. What's like a city in the States that you would want to go to that you haven't been to?
Houston.
Yo, me too, bro.
Love Houston. Just the scene. Grow up listening to hip hop, and then just the
hold
sports.
on. Chop and
Chop
Screwed.
and Screw videos like UGK, Chameleon, Paul, Slim Thug, Flip, all those dudes. I can name the whole bunch. I grew up on Houston, then eventually Atlanta's now booming.
Paul Wall too, no?
Yeah, I mentioned Paul Wall. Yeah,
yeah,
everyone.
okay.
The only guy I didn't really care for was Mike Jones, but Mike Jones did this thing. So, but yeah, I love Houston, just the whole environment, and now the city's doing well in terms of sports. They have some of the biggest athletes there, and I'm a big fan of Shea Serrano and what he does for his city, and just in terms of writing all sorts of cool content about it. So I just think there's a really cool vibe about Houston. So I put there. I've never been to Atlanta, so I have to also include Atlanta. Give my ties there.
I feel like if you're a fan of a team that doesn't play in your city, you gotta go see them.
Yeah, no, it just hasn't worked out.
It's easy for me to say where all my favorite teams are in New York, but I do want to for 2020. One of my goals and what I'm striving for now, and I like to start. It's around this time of the year where I start thinking about my New Year's resolutions, and I start sort of. I don't like dropping things cold turkey because I think it's not sustainable. I think that you should slowly transition into it. So I start to get into that mindset around this time, and then this way it's not like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna completely stop eating this kind of food January 1st. Like I don't think that's sustainable. So I've gotten into that mindset as of now. Vegan for 4 days.
Wow.
Big transition for me, especially.
Suits all vegans. I can never do it.
Yeah.
I give up alcohol before I go meat.
I probably eat red meat 3 times a month.
Wow.
So I've basically stuck to chicken and fish for the longest time. But I'm giving it a try. Like I've never made fun of vegans. I've never it just wasn't my thing.
Salute to them. That's a big sacrifice.
Yeah. A lot of dairy. No dairy.
No dairy.
It's rough. So guys,
I don't know how Daniel Bryan does it. Like he's the most. I think he's the most popular vegan. I'm trying to think of who the vegans out there. I just know
Yo,
Dylan
Nate
Bryan.
Diaz too, bro.
Oh, jeez, I forgot Nate.
Yeah.
He's not he's full vegan or vegetarian.
Well, I kind of like,
this up,
and I know this is terrible because a lot of documentaries are made to inspire you to make that transition. But I watched Game Changers on Netflix, and they highlighted him, and yeah,
He is vegan.
It's just an interesting fix. So guys, chime in. What New Year's resolutions are you guys starting to cook up? And this is terrible timing because like Thanksgiving is probably my favorite holiday.
What the hell?
But yeah, let's get into some sports.
Yeah.
All right. What the hell has happened with Phillip Rivers? This is coming off 2 primetime games where he's a reason his team lost.
2015 Peyton Manning. That's what a lot of people are comparing to. I think it's an accurate assessment. Just he's never had the best arm, but now it's just the decision making and him just trying to make throws that he knows he can't make between like people forget. Remember Tyrann Mathieu should have 2 picks. The one I think he was trying to hit Mike Williams on like a deep post, and it was right in Honey Badger's hands, and he dropped it. Like Rivers could have had another pick in that game. It's just I think he still is too confident for his own good. He's one of those older quarterbacks that thinks he could still make a lot of the throws he made 3-4 years ago. But I think he's just, whether it's age or just the amount of punishment he's taken over years, he can't make them anymore.
So he's been a guy that I've defended many, many times. I think he's a guy who, from fantasy purposes, he's always been like a guy that's ended up on my team, and I've won championships with him because, I think it's 14 of the 17 years in his career. Obviously, this one is still going on, so you're really looking at like 14 of 16 years. He's surpassed 25 touchdown passes and 4,000 yards. A lot of times his team has been snake bit by injury. Like, this guy's never missed a start, right? Even so, I talk about this all the time because I think it's something that should be on his resume for when it's time for him to be debated, whether or not he should be a Hall of Famer or not. But the fact that this guy tore his ACL, then had surgery on Tuesday and played against the 17-0 Patriots at the time, and then LT was also hobbled, and I want to say it was like a 10-point game.
Yeah, Michael Turner was the running back.
Right. So, like, that was, and it's, it's January football in Foxborough. So, and that guy suited up. He's tough as shit, and he's had to deal with turnover with, head coaches and coordinators leaving and the offensive line being injured. Since 2018, no team has started more offensive line combinations in the NFL than the Chargers.
It's not surprising,
right?
Given how snake bitten they've been. But I think what's also kind of weird with Phillip Rivers is that we always talk about him being a mob consistency, but I just think people like his demeanor. He's just someone that's always been a gunslinger. Even though you see a lot of young quarterbacks now, we enjoy a lot of them, there are not many gunslingers left. You guys that just stand in the pocket and just chuck it. Even though it's risky, they still do it, and they also step up into the pocket. They don't really shy away from contact. You see a lot of young quarterbacks now, they get really gun shy, they get rattled. Rivers never really gets rattled. Yeah, he'll throw bad picks, but it's just the confidence I've always admired about Phillip Rivers and just his overall demeanor. So to see him now fading away, it's pretty bums me out a bit because he's just someone that I think over the years he just doesn't care. He just would go for it, and I think that's why I think players love playing for him because you just his attitude. How can you not be excited to be around him?
Yeah, he was a guy who, for the longest time, I loved betting him as an underdog because his teams were always in the mix. Like, I remember hitting a stretch in early VM days when we would give our picks that he was a guy who, when they were catching points on the road, 7.5, 9-point underdogs, I was like all in because he's a gunslinger. And in sports betting, one of the reasons why people love the underdog is because the underdog and the better backing the underdog have the same intentions. And what I mean by that is the underdog wants to climb back into the game to maybe win, and the better who's backing them wants them to keep the game close. So essentially, it's the only time in sports betting where the underdog and the better betting on the underdog have the same intentions. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's like a natural correlation between the two as far as like a success rate. But with Phillip Rivers, it's like the story of his career is probably down 4 with the ball left under 2 minutes and doesn't deliver. All right, like how many games has that happened?
Too many. I know the stats out there, but I'm forgetting. I think LA, during Phillip Rivers' time, they've lost, I think, around 61 possession games.
61 possession games.
61. I know it's in the 60 range. I forgot the exact number because he's been there since '04.
Dude, think about if they won half of those. Right, that's 30 more wins on his resume. That's who knows where those wins are. Playoff seeding, right? How many times has this team caught fire second half of the season?
Because he's third all time in terms of quarterbacks that QB wins that never won. I think it's Dan Marino. Then I think Fran Tankerton maybe. I remember seeing Rivers. Rivers like 112 wins.
What about like Jim Kelly? Jim Kelly's not in that mix?
No, he's not in that mix. I was wondering Matt Ryan was in that mix. So I was like, yeah, maybe 4 years from now. But yeah, Rivers has like 112 wins, but I know around like a lot of his losses are one possession because that's how it is with the Chargers. So yeah, I think last night was just because I thought maybe against the Raiders it was just because it was Thursday night. Everyone has those bad Thursday night games, but you had extra rest. And I want to hear about Mexico. Like you had time to prepare, time to acclimate. I just think Rivers at this point because he hasn't been playing well all year. We were talking about in September like he looks. There's signs that we should be concerned, and now I think it's all culminating, and now it's the fact that they're pretty much out of the playoff race now. A team that went 12-4 last year, they were a real contender, and now I think they have to seriously consider looking at a quarterback in the first round.
I have an idea. Tell me what you think about this. I think Cam Newton can be had for very cheap.
I saw that. People are linking it.
I think the Chargers, and the case I want to make for Cam is LA, they want stars, they want flash. Is there a more flashy quarterback than Cam? Like not so much his play, but also like his press conferences. He's entertaining.
Yeah, nobody tops it.
Right,
everyone loves Deshaun, but Deshaun doesn't go that route.
All right. So, and Cam, I think still got it. It was funny when they announced that they might not bring back Carolina. They've sort of hit a skid now too, and Kyle Allen kind of looks like a guy who.
Kyle Allen's horrendous.
Yeah.
I watched the whole kid.
So with Cam, right? What I think is interesting with Cam, I think this team has a lot of pieces that you like, right?
Yeah, I just think after Sunday, I don't know Carolina's budging right now. I hear Cam's unlikely to come back, but after watching how bad Kyle's been playing, like and the Chargers are that organization where they are very fickle. They don't like spending a lot. They really don't like taking gambles. Like they're very hard-headed when it comes to contracts. So, yeah, I'm not sure. It would be a great fit, but just the Charger organization is so unpredictable.
But I think he could be had for cheap. Like
I don't know about cheap.
What's going to be the market for him, you think?
Cam? Damn, that's hard to estimate at this point.
Like, is he going to be a guy that could get $35 million? I don't think so.
No, not $35 million.
So what I'm saying by had, like, I think 23 to 27 is reasonable for Cam.
Yeah, it's a good.
As opposed to what Kirk Cousins got, what like Dak is going to get. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to talk about Dak in a little bit, game of the week, but I think Cam going out there will be cool. What about a swap? Rivers is from Carolina.
Dude, Rivers is
all right, he went to NC State, I believe it was.
Dude, that offensive line's so bad in Carolina. We don't need Rivers to take any more punishment. If Rivers does go anywhere, go send him to Indianapolis. He won't get hit as much, at least there. The offensive line full of first rounders and all pros doing keg stands and then
do you think it's what the Chargers should do moving forward? Like just get rid of.
I don't think they could start Rivers next season. Whether it's drafting a first rounder and maybe building him up a bit, maybe give Rivers some time. But there's no way you could go forward thinking Phil Rivers could start 16 games. I just don't think he can handle it anymore. He's had a long career, a lot of punishment.
Think about that draft class too. Well, now it's Eli Manning. He's gotten benched. I mean, he led the way as far as the decline, right? Mm-hmm. Like Big Ben led the league in passing last year. Essentially, he's taken the year off, Tommy John surgery. And then Rivers kind of just, you're right. Like it's dope when your guy's durable, but then I think they just fall off a cliff so quickly.
Right.
And that's what I think we're seeing with Phillip Rivers.
After all those years, because we talk about offensive line, because the thing with the Chargers, they've had some bad coaching staffs too, which haven't helped them. Like Rivers just taking a beating. Like people don't realize that, but he just keeps on getting up. So we had such high expectations for the Chargers. I think that's the most disappointing thing. We really thought they were like going to the season a top 3-4 AFC team, and now they're out of the playoff hunt. It's November.
Yeah, they've fallen to 4-8. They're on their bye week now.
They 4-7, but same thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Week 12. You're right. Yeah,
they're pretty much done though. Like 7 losses,
especially in the AFC. Like I don't think 9 wins could get you a playoff berth right now. Like Oakland is going to compete for the division too. Like
I think they're going to fade, but I get what you mean. Like right now,
well, at the moment it's close, and you still have that game where Kansas City's going to play Oakland. So I mean, you have to at least respect them. They've exceeded people's expectations.
No, salute to, man. I'm so happy for John Gruden. I know John Gruden gets ridiculed a lot, understandably so, given the trades, but you can't deny he's done a hell of a coaching job.
Yeah, a lot of gotta show love to Gruden. A lot of shit. That was a Thursday night football game, right?
Yeah, Raiders Chargers.
And then the last Thursday night football game was that the shot heard around the world from Myles Garrett. We didn't get to talk about that, really. I talked about it by myself on the solo pod on Monday. If you guys haven't checked that out, I had my buddy Justin, the Wrestling Classic. Shout out to him. He came on, and we kind of talked about the landscape of, like, pro wrestling in 2019. My guy CM Punk is back, sort of, with WWE. But, yeah, definitely check that out. But Myles Garrett, right? What do you make of that whole thing? Because now he met with the NFL, and what he's saying is that there was a racial slur involved in why it escalated to that point. And I think we can narrow it down to what that racial slur might have been. We're not trying to get banned off the show, so we'll keep it at that. What do you make of this entire situation?
I think Mason Rudolph definitely, I don't know if instigates were, but initiated. Just you could tell he should have more of a bigger punishment just based on his initial reaction. So obviously that doesn't excuse what Garrett did. Like that is a serious. Never see someone take a helmet. Like, that's a serious offense right there. Just was it? I think 6 pounds and just hitting on that guy's head just like that. Now I don't think there should be any like criminal proceedings. People saying, "Oh, you should go to jail." People are absurd if you think that. Like, look, crazy things happen on the football field. Not excusing, but I think indefinite suspension, rest of the season. I think that's definitely a justifiable suspension. What Pouncey did, a little rough, but I'm happy he only got 2 games because. For me, it's just he was defending his quarterback, and all right, emotions got pretty wild, and kicking a dude in the head, not exactly ideal. But I think one thing not enough people are talking about is Larry Ogunjobi.
Mm-hmm.
That was so dirty. Like, you just push a guy in the back like that. He just got hit in the head.
Yeah,
like that. I think that could have got more of a suspension. I think Rudolph and Ogunjobi got off light. I think those are the two. Looking back on that, probably should have got more of a bigger punishment.
It's the shit that happens when you're young too, where the first person never gets in trouble, right? Like me and you are at a bar, and someone comes and like snuffs you, and then you retaliate. You break a bottle over his head. Well, most likely, the first thing is gonna be sort of passed along, like maybe ignored, maybe no one saw it. But then when something drastic like that comes, or you smash a bottle over someone's head, then yeah, Allen's going to get in trouble in that situation. And that's what I think happens with Myles Garrett, where, why is Mason Rudolph kind of rolling jujitsu with him on the ground at one point, and then all of a sudden, who knows what's being said, and then he rips his helmet off, and then he slams. I mean, everyone saw it now, but Mason Rudolph got lucky too, because it seemed like the ear of the helmet kind of hit him. Mm-hmm. Or like if that was to be squared, man, like you've seen like helmets crack sometimes, like head-to-head collisions.
And he's already been severely concussed once this year. Earl
right?
Thomas.
Yo, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it looked like he died on that play, bro. That was scary.
We should also mention that game, Deontay Johnson took a huge. I was good move by the refs. Rarely see it these days, but Randall, I think, rightfully got ejected. I think he's a little fortunate to get 1 game spent because that was such a deliberate shot to the head. Shame on him. That was such a. You saw the hit, right?
Yeah.
Guy was bleeding through his ears.
Yeah.
It was like Mick Foley. Like, damn, it was like crazy. Like you just see that in this game. Like everyone's talking about, oh, Myles Garrett's this big criminal violent. It's like we just saw someone a quarter ago take a headshot, which looked pretty deliberate, didn't super unnecessary, did not need to happen at all. But now people are saying, oh, Garrett's this big criminal. Okay, what he did was wrong, obviously, but I think people are kind of over exaggerating. I'm happy he got. I think he shouldn't play another down this season, but I think some of the takes have just been pretty over the top. So, what's crazy also is just the fact that game was over. Like it was the last drive. It was over. Like I don't know how this happens. I shut it off. I didn't see it till next morning.
Yeah, and also think about it. That was such a big win for Cleveland, right? Like Cleveland, we've been talking about it all year. How I didn't like it in I didn't like them coming into the year because of their schedule. Like that schedule was rough, and I had them around 2-6. I had them 2-5. That game to Denver that they lost, I thought was unexcusable.
Yeah.
Inexcusable, I should say. I think ultimately, if they miss the playoffs, that's going to be the game where they're going to circle and say we kind of let that one go. They were a favorite in Denver too. The backup quarterback was in like Brandon Allen.
Yeah.
So that was like a shit show there. But yeah, Cleveland's in the thick of things. They're a 10-point favorite against the Dolphins this week. It's the first time they've been a favorite of double digits since Brady Quinn was the quarterback. God. So you're talking about a long, long time. So yeah, I think it was also a sour moment, man, because that was a big win for Cleveland. Like the Steelers have been violating you for decades now,
And they haven't beaten Steelers since 2014.
Yeah, and that was just a big win, and then you let that happen. It sucks. It's unfortunate.
Shout out to Key and Faye for this tweet because I can't believe the Browns have pulled off the impossible. They've somehow become more undisciplined after not having Greg Williams on their coaching staff. Like, that's crazy when you think about it. They've become more undisciplined, more chaotic without Greg Williams.
Who would you like to see be the head coach there?
Man, it's so hard. There's like no candidates out there. I like to see Harbaugh back in the NFL. I'm not sure Cleveland would be the spot. Could be Atlanta, who knows? But I want to see Harbaugh make a comeback because I've always kind of liked him as a coach. But I don't know who's out there though. Who are you hearing? Like
the big college guy to make the leap is Lincoln Riley.
Right.
Also,
we've been hearing that for 2 years though.
Yeah. Also, his ties with Baker Mayfield, like his numbers have dipped since leaving Lincoln Riley. And I understand it was the Big 12, and that's like a video game offensive league, and it's always like high numbers. Like you've seen RG3 light it up, Mason Rudolph lit it up down there. It's always like quarterbacks go there, and it's like, well, the Big 12 has kind of become what the Pac-12 was a couple of years ago, where it was like, all right, you have all these guys putting up these big numbers, like the Oregon teams and even like teams like Cal and some, like UCLA prior to like Jim Mora getting there. Like there was that one stretch in the middle.
Good old Jim Mora Jr.
And it was those cases where Is it that the offenses are so good and the quarterbacks are so good, or is that the defenses are so bad over there, right? So I think that's what's happening with the Big 12, where you always see like West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas, like those teams, Baylor, they always put up these big numbers. So Lincoln Riley is probably the one that everyone's talking about. Man, in the NFL, you're right. It's like, who's going to be that offensive coordinator that's going to emerge, that's going to be the next hot prospect, right? Like Robert Saleh was a guy that a lot of people were like, and I know he's not an offensive genius, but...
Well, he's the defensive coordinator.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, he's a defensive guy.
I think the Chiefs, I forgot his last name, but the Chiefs offensive coordinator got some buzz. But
Impy would be all over that. Impy just loves... Shout out to my guy, Impy, man.
Andy Reid connects.
Andy Reid connects.
Yeah, why not? So, I do want to mention also that it is kind of unfortunate because I hear Myles Garrett, he's not just one of the most promising... Well, he's already a star, but I'm saying he's like one of the most fascinating defense players in the league. He's built like a freak. He's one of the best edge rushers in the league. I hear also he's just a really good guy. So I think it's just unfortunate how this incident's going to like overshadow his probably career. It's always going to haunt him. And I just hear he's good because he actually trained over the summer with Stipe. He brought him to the, I think it actually was his training camp, and they did light sparring together. So I know Stipe is a big fan of him. So it's just unfortunate because I think Myles Garrett was really one of those guys you saw come to the league. It was like, wow, this guy's a physical freak. Like, he might be the edge rusher version of Aaron Donald, where it's like, we never see anything like this. And now for him to miss the rest of the year, and who knows how it's going to haunt his career. Just unfortunate because I think people genuinely liked him. But look, he lost his mind. What can you say? That was, it's indefensible. So,
yeah, I do think that a lot of times I never liked well, if that was me, I wouldn't do it person. Like, you know how we did Worst Guy on Twitter last week? Like, well, if I was him, I would have taken that money. Like, you watch like Deal or No Deal, and like, after, like, hindsight is always 20/20. It's easier to make a decision after the fact, but like, I don't know how I would have reacted. That's always my answer. Like, I don't know until that's presented to me. Like, I don't know. Like,
I like how Baker handled the interview, by the way. He did a good job.
Yeah, finally showed some like leadership over there. He's like, yeah, we can't have, and he's right. Like, he's their best defensive player, and they're gearing up for a stretch where I believe they're only an underdog in one game the rest of the way.
Probably Steelers, right? They got to go to Heinz Field.
They got to go to Heinz Field, and that's essentially a pick 'em right now because there's advanced lines that you could see, look ahead lines and whatnot. But
man, they got to play again soon.
Yeah, so that's going to be a bloodbath too.
Yeah.
But
Pouncey's going to be suspended. Ogunjobi's going to be suspended.
Yeah.
Rudolph's still going to be there. Oh, you don't think Sheldon Richardson's ready to clothesline him or Olivier Vernon?
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. All right, cool. Let's get into the games of the week this week in week 12. Is this game a must-win for the Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Seahawks?
They're currently one game behind Dallas.
Yeah, they still have to play. They still have to play in Philly, but man, it's been pretty rough. As someone that was so high on the Eagles, I had them as my number 1 seed coming into the year. It just hasn't looked right.
I don't know if this is a must-win though. I don't know if I could categorize it as that because there's still time, but especially since Dallas plays New England this week, so you figured New England should win. So I'm not gonna say it's a must, especially against one of the best teams in the NFC. But I think you want to see something more from that offense because they just look so uninspiring right now. I know, granted, they played a terrific Patriots defense, but it's just that game became just a slog. And I thought Wentz missed a lot of throws. I thought it was one of his more disappointing performances. So I know the supporting cast isn't great right now given the lack of receiver depth, but I think Philadelphia, especially at home against a West Coast team, you got to use that to your advantage. West Coast team playing at 1 o'clock. I know Russell Wilson's MVP right now, but between Seattle's woes on the offensive line and just Philadelphia, there needs to be some sort of response. I'm not saying it's a must-win, but you want to see like there's no such thing as encouraging losses at this point, especially for a team as good as that. But they just offensively, they have to show more. I think that's the biggest thing going into this game.
So I do want to give credit to a unit that we've been super critical of. Have you noticed how well the Eagles secondary has been playing the last couple of weeks? Did you see those stats floated around?
They have.
So since week 8, I don't know exactly what it's been. Has anyone returned for them?
Well, I know Jalen Mills came back.
Enough. Like, okay, so Jalen Mills.
We got to look at the competition. Patriots, Bills, like not the greatest batch of receivers.
Okay, that's fair. That's very fair. But yeah. I also think like Jalen Mills, right? Like I remember I read an Eagles report and it was like, well, Jalen Mills is coming back. It's like, dude, I won a lot of money a couple years ago just picking wide receivers against the Eagles, and especially ones where he was going to shadow.
Yeah.
And it was just like, if you're excited for him to come back, you're kind of in trouble, right?
I don't know any like defenders that came back from injury. He's playing better. Like these, I think just players are playing better. I don't know. I think Malcolm Jenkins. Maybe. Okay. They released Orlando Scandrick. That could have helped. And Orlando Scandrick went on Fox Sports 1 and talked a whole bunch of nonsense.
It's kind of some promos, right?
Yeah, but Jenkins. I guess maybe Malcolm Jenkins rallied the troops. Philly's always hot and cold. I think we know it. But once the competition steps up, they step up their game. So I think. But then you just have to look at the opponents. The Patriots don't have any vertical threats. The Bills, Josh Allen. So this is the game where we're going to see that secondary get tested.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, Metcalf, Tyler Lockett at the moment is questionable. But I do think ultimately he does suit up. And like you said, Russell Wilson's playing at such a high level. And, Jacob Hollister is becoming a thing now. 19 targets in the last 2 games since he stepped up as the tight end.
I don't know, something about the offense where
they need a tight end, right?
Yeah, look at Disley.
Right.
Or Nick Vannett.
I talked about this on the DFS show with my buddy Hunter, DFS Fridays, where I guess it's the system that they rely on a tight end and they need a tight end. Like Russell Wilson is just making everyone look good. Like right now, it's him and Lamar is 1-2 for NFL MVP at the moment. And, the Eagles, what I wanted to mention is the Eagles defense over the last 3 games, 238 yards per game. They're giving up 4.2 yards per play. If you look at the numbers prior to that, every wide receiver was going off against them. Like Stephon Diggs had that monster game. The Cowboy wide receivers ran wild. Falcons, yeah. So, even Terry McLaurin, week 1, if you go all the way that far back.
Case Keenum was throwing bombs.
Right. So, I do think that's being fixed. The Seahawks defense is 30th in the NFL. Like, I know Jadeveon Clowney's had some monster moments, but that's also a defense that you can move the ball on. And I wouldn't call them a get-right spot for Wentz in this offense, but man, how do they not go after AB?
There has to be something internally wrong there. It has to be just them not wanting to take that chance. Because I think Philadelphia is known for taking risks. I'm trying to think of a prime example. Nothing really comes to mind, but I just think teams are really turned off by it. But then we saw a report today, Patriots are again talking to him. So, I don't know. They take chances, though, Philadelphia. They will make midseason moves, so it is a little surprising.
I mean, going back to the time with that dream team scenario where they signed like Michael Vick, they were the first team to take a chance on Michael Vick after the whole dog scandal that
They did.
altered his career, you know? So, yeah, they've always taken risks, right? They've signed Bennett, who was kind of a wild card.
I traded for him.
Well, but still, they brought him on board,
Yeah,
though. So,
trade for Golden Tate. And Golden Tate's a bit of a character, but I don't think it's that much of a risk. I just know they take chances. That's what it is with Philadelphia. Because that front office is notorious for being aggressive. So
they also had that one linebacker Kendricks who was like accused of insider trading. So who knows about all that?
But McFarland, he's playing for his life on the field. Even though he might go to jail. One of the best. It was during a Seahawks Bears game last year. It was one of the worst games. And this Kendricks got the sack, and Booger won the few good lines there. Right, just hilarious.
Oh man,
Kendricks is good, by the way. He's playing really well this year.
Dude, he's a beast.
Yeah.
He's always been good. Him and his brother.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about his brother.
Yeah, bro. His brother on that linebacking core in Minnesota. Yeah. That team is good. But what do you got over here, man? Do you think Philly? You think Philly could pull the upset here? I mean, they're a 1.5 point favorite, which what that tells you is that on a neutral, the Seahawks would be favored, and I think that's right.
Seattle's going for a bye. I would take that into big consideration.
Yeah. So it's weird. Seattle this year is 2-0 in the Eastern Time Zone, and this was something that they struggled under Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. I remember I did the 32 and 32 series on Instagram over the summer, and it was one of the scheduling takeaways that I had where this was a team that struggled playing in the Eastern Time Zone, and so far they're 2-0 in the Eastern Time Zone this year. And also, they were a team that was not good under Russell Wilson. You know, like you said, the body clock, you're playing 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Tough transition.
It's a tough transition, but it might benefit them coming off a bye. So I disagree with you. I think this is a bigger game for Philly. I think for Philly, it's a
great test. I just don't think I don't think their playoff hopes are done if they lose, though.
Right, they would fall to 10-6. They would fall to 5-6. So then. You know,
they're a team that can rattle off wins we saw last year.
Yeah, I know, man. I just think it's a big game.
I think it's because it's just a huge test for them. They gotta start proving they could beat. I think
it's
more
a good team?
Yeah, because I don't know what's their most impressive win. Buffalo, okay.
You know what? Buffalo, I have to give them credit there because they were coming off that embarrassing loss to the Cowboys.
Oh yeah,
Buffalo. You can make the case should have beat New England if Josh Allen didn't miss the last 5-6 drives of that game, and then I believe Matt Barkley stepped in. So, yeah, that's probably an impressive win. And also, we got to see how Buffalo ends the year. Like maybe they're an 8-8 team. Who knows? So it's not as impressive at the time. But I'm gonna go with Philly, man. I think Philly wins this game.
I'm gonna go Philly. I think what really helps, they were one of the best teams against the run, so I don't think Carson's gonna have a big impact. And just I think all the punishment Russell Wilson's gonna take, I could see him getting he could get a little careless. I think that Philly pass rush, they're always gonna show up, and maybe those tight ends, Ertz and Goddard, I think they're down the seam. They're going to find some openings. So I think Philly's going to pull this one out, even though I think it's a real big pick 'em. It's hard to go against Seattle, given how good Wilson's playing at the moment. But I'm going to ride Eagles for showing up in a big-time moment. Maybe Doug Peterson outcoaches Pete Carroll as well. Pete Carroll is known for a couple of iffy decisions with time management.
The Patriots, like we mentioned before, they play the Dallas Cowboys. This is a 7-point line. Cowboys are a 7-point underdog. And PFF simulations predicts that the Pats win 71% of the time, but this is the highest ranked offense the Pats have faced. Dallas, where do you think they rank in PFF?
They got to be at least top 5.
They're number 1. That kind of surprised me.
They've been prolific. Dak's been playing at a super high level.
Dak is balling, bro. I made the case for him being an MVP candidate.
He should be.
Right?
Other than what we got. Wilson, Lamar, and Watson. I think Watson, Prescott are those two guys you could kind of flip here. I think Wilson, Lamar, top 2 though.
Yeah, I think they've separated themselves from the field. But like Jared Goff last year was a top 5 MVP candidate.
Yeah,
I
those
know
were days.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about the cliff he's fallen off of. But Dak has graded better than Brady so far this year, 85.2 to 82.9 per PFF. I have a big question for you. And I want you guys listening to chime in as well because, I'm a degenerate and I love playing daily fantasy. We know about the Patriot way. Do you think they throw Gilmore on Gallup and double cover Amari? Do you think that could be enough to slow down Zeke too? Because we know about them taking away your best offensive weapon. Who do you think New England treats as the best offensive weapon there?
Yeah, because Gallup's such a threat, so I think why not put Gilmore on him? Because you saw Gallup, especially against Detroit. He had a monster game. He's so I knew he was good coming out of college, but some people are saying he's a receiver one. He should have been drafted a lot higher. But man, he's such a vertical threat. Like some of the contested catches he was making against Detroit was incredible. So yeah, I can see Belichick doing that. I think he has faith in the secondary where okay, we could double Cooper. The thing is, they move Cooper around a lot. Like they'll put Cooper in the slot, so that's something they're gonna have to gauge. And if Ronald Cobb's starting to play a lot better too. Dallas says they went from having the worst receiving corps to now one of the best ones in the league in 1 year. Like, remember last year how bad they were before Cooper got there?
Yeah, they had no speed.
They had, it was Allen Hurns, Cole Beasley, Gallup was still kind of learning the playbook, and maybe Terrence Williams was still there. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, Terrence Williams. He had that wild catch against the Seahawks that one time, that, toe tap on, 3rd and 28.
But I know you're a big fan because he forgot to get out of bounds against the Giants.
Oh, man, that was such a good time, But, staying with this game here, a lot of the Patriot wide receivers are questionable, but I kind of think that's just
Well, Sanu's out for a few weeks, I saw.
Yeah, with the ankle injury. Dorsett, concussion, game time decision, probably out. New England, man, they, like you said, they don't really have anyone that scares you offensively. Like Edelman is Edelman, and we know about that, and I got to give that guy credit because I think he's a sensational wide receiver. I think he's the most underrated wide receiver of our generation.
Underrated.
Yeah, because I think he'll never be when you make a top 10 wide receiver list, all the years you've been watching football, Edelman is never in that.
Because he shouldn't be.
He shouldn't be. But
I don't think he's even top 20.
But is there anyone you would pick over him in a big game?
Yeah, there's a lot of great receivers out there.
No. I feel passionate about this one. In a big game, there's not a wide receiver I would pick over Edelman. And I know it's the system and it's the quarterback. I get that. But, that guy.
He makes big plays. You can't deny his resume against the Falcons. But there's way more receivers out there that just bring more as, on the outside. And because I don't want to call Edelman a glorified slot receiver. He's definitely more than that. But there's just so many big-time receivers out there. And I just thought the whole Hall of Fame discussion last year was ridiculous. Like, people saying he should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely not.
I was one of those guys.
Okay, don't agree with that at all. To me, he's like a better version of Jarvis Landry. That's why I describe him as. When it comes to slot receivers, the guys that came into the league as slot receivers, it's, okay, yeah, they do their thing, don't get me wrong, but I can't put you in the top 10. I'm not putting you over a guy like Mike Evans or someone like A.J. Green. I put those guys in the big spot. You can see what they do. They're just with terrible franchises.
That's a very fair point.
Yeah.
The situation that he's been dealt is obviously the best one in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And, he
delivers. Don't be wrong. I'm not trying to deny him. It's just
because I also think that Julian Edelman not playing in that Eagles game hurt the Patriots in that game. He didn't have his comfort zone. Look, Brady threw for 500 yards.
Yeah.
So how much more could he have done? I get that, but I think Edelman is sensational, and the reason why I even bring him up is he was limited this week in practice, but I think it's also wasn't Brady on the injury report for 200 straight weeks, and it was just that's what New England kind of does.
I'm still wondering what happened with Josh Gordon there. I think they just had some sort of falling out because I think they really could have used Josh Gordon.
Oh yeah, they definitely could have, and you saw that Brady trusted him right away. They were giving him big spots, sort of like what Russell Wilson did in the Seahawks that Monday night game. He converted 2 3rd and 8s, 39s.
And it was only 2 catches, but he still delivered.
Yeah,
and now he's going to know more of the playbook. So
Right. I think with this game, the one thing I'm looking for is I really want to know. New England tells you what they think of you as far as an offensive weapon. So if they don't stack the box, kind of feel like they don't respect Zeke. I think Zeke is having an awful year.
He doesn't break many tackles anymore. He doesn't make people whiff. When he gets the ball, you see first contact, he goes down.
Zeke is showing all the signs of I just got paid and I don't give a fuck anymore. From his wild ass hairdo to he does look a little heavier than usual.
I think that's always been knocking him though. That was last year, I remember.
Right. Yeah. But he doesn't seem to have that burst.
He's not as elusive. I will say that. He doesn't break as many tackles. You saw the touchdown against Detroit, Tony Pollard. He broke 3 tackles. I was like, man, I don't think Zeke could do that.
Yeah, Zeke is just the Cowboy fans have a wild, irrational love, I think, for him. I think that offensive line is so good, and now that offense is so good that, yeah, if I was Dallas, I would be like, all right, bro, I'm not paying you. I'd much rather pay Dak because I'm always biased towards the quarterback anyway. And
Cooper.
I think running backs are replaceable. And I think I would have been like, all right, bro, hold out. And I'm going to roll with Tony Pollard.
This is going to be a game where people like, because I think there's only 2 4 o'clock games. The other one's like Tennessee, Jacksonville. So if you're not a fan of that team or you're not covering them, you're not watching. NFL, whenever Dallas has that big 4 o'clock match we saw against Green Bay earlier this year, they just sub the schedule. Okay, everyone's going to watch this. So I think if you see Zeke have like 13 carries for 43 yards, you're just going to see all these people. Yeah, this is what you get for paying a running back. And then Cooper has maybe like 7 catches for 100 yards. Who knows? Because I think Cooper is going to get his catches. He's just someone I think at this point you can't really limit. Like, he's someone that's going to get his production regardless, unless Gallup has a monster game and Cobb goes off. Like, I know he had kind of a down game against Detroit, but I think it's just more because of Gallup and Cobb having monster games and just Dak spreading the ball around. I think in this type of matchup, they're not going to have many opportunities. They're going to need someone like Cooper to create separation, make some individual plays of his own.
Damn, so Cooper is matchup proof, you think?
At this point, just the way he runs routes, like I think he's incredible, man. Like, I would put him in the top 5. I really would. Especially when they put him in the slot. He is so damn good in the slot. He's kind of like Michael Thomas. Him and Michael Thomas, like the best receivers, and Keenan Allen as well, where you see him a lot in the slot, and they just thrive off it.
Last thing on this game before we give a pick, I tweeted out and posted about this year so far, the 2 players that have proved me wrong have been Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. Does Dak Prescott make the cut for you as far as, like, if you were to do a top 5 list of players that have exceeded your expectations, where it was, or were you?
I've always liked Dak.
You've always liked Dak.
I've always been Dak. I think that what held him back was Scott Linehan. I think Scott Linehan was a terrible offense coordinator.
I'd agree with you on that. Yeah, but I didn't see this coming. Like, he's on pace for 5,000 yards, and that's an exclusive club.
They really bolstered their offense. I think Cobb's been a solid sign. I know people thought he was a little bit on the decline, but I think Cobb in this offense where they're using him better, like they're not as reliant on him, I think helps. And the offensive line's finally healthy. People forget last year Frederick was out for a year, and then 2017 Tyron Smith was out those games. So I think him having a stabilized offensive line certainly helps. He's always had the ability, Dak. I don't think he's always had enough resources around him, and obviously playing with Jason Garrett doesn't help. So.
The clapper.
We could, by the way, if we did a prediction earlier, we could just said Bill Belichick, Jason Garrett. That's it. Like, that could have just been our preview. I think people would have been satisfied. But no, this is a really compelling matchup. And I think Dallas has a lot of talent. It's hard to look past. You have Bill Belichick on one side, and then you have Jason Garrett on the other. It's hard to look past that. As bad as doing an offense looks right now.
Yo, I feel like if you were to take the top 20 players in this game and just rank them, I feel like it would be 14-6 in favor of Dallas.
Definitely be up there because, okay, we got who? We got Gilmore, put Brady there. Put Edelman out there, and who else is there?
Right?
McCourty. I gotta give it. I don't know, maybe both. Not, but just Devin. Jimmy Collins having a really good year, but I don't know if I could put him up there. Even that Patriots offensive line's not even like they don't have big names there. Like, I think Shaq Mason's really good, but you're right. Dallas they have a lot of star power.
Look, there's 3 offensive linemen on Dallas. For as much as I knock Zeke, Zeke is one of the best players in this game. And then, like,
Lawrence,
Van
Der Esch.
Shit, Quinn is getting a sack every week,
dude.
That guy,
Michael Bennett's by the way, Michael Bennett revenge game, a very weird revenge game, but it's a revenge game.
Yeah, but Robert Quinn, man, a guy who went to Miami and like kind of disappeared, fell off the radar, and like still had something left in him. So I think this game goes one of 2 ways. I think it's a close game and Jason Garrett does something dumb where it's like maybe a time management issue and it's like
he gives Zeke the ball 3 times.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's like ultimately Belichick got him at the end, or I think New England blows them out. And it's a Packers Cowboys kind of game where like New England goes up like 28-3 and then sorry, I know that's
jeez.
I didn't do that on purpose, bro. I'm sorry.
No, I forgot, but that's probably the only game this year Dak struggled in Green Bay. Actually, I didn't think he played that well against the Giants, the Monday night game, but he obviously got done at the end. But that Green Bay game was one noticeable game where he could have thrown like 4 picks, and this is a really good litmus test for him because this is the best defense he's played against, and there could be moments where because Patriots defense, they've made a lot of quarterbacks look bad. Obviously, the competition hasn't been great, but they made Wentz look bad, so it wouldn't surprise me if Prescott threw a couple of picks. But it is hard to go against New England, just given the coaching discrepancy. That I look at that and then that secondary. I think that secondary is one of the few secondaries that can hold up against Dallas.
Yeah, man. It should be fun because this game is like you said, it's only 2 4:00 games, and I think everyone's gonna have. I don't think you're gonna have Red Zone on. I think at that point you just put on Fox and just like watch that game. You know,
yeah, Jacksonville, Tennessee, not exactly the most appealing matchup.
Yeah, enjoy that. All right, San Francisco is playing the Packers of Green Bay. I am gonna tell you right now, and I'm gonna break the fourth wall and look into the camera on this one. I'm gonna start with this one. I hope this is a divisional round playoff game. And I cannot wait to walk up to the FanDuel Sportsbook and put a lot of money. Spoiler, it's not much on Green Bay.
Wow.
Because I think this week, Green Bay is going to go in there and they're going to beat them. And you're going to see what I've always said. It's cool to have Kirk Cousins. It's cool to have Jimmy G. It's cool to have...
Man, we're putting down Jimmy G already.
And it's cool to have Derek Carr. Until you look across the field and it's Pat Mahomes, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's even Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson. I think the drop off between the two quarterbacks is significant. And it's just, Rodgers has that chip on his shoulder. He kind of hates the Niners in the back of his mind still because,
they've lost several times.
But not only that, it's also the team that he waited in the draft room for so long. Remember, they had the number one pick. Cali kid, grew up a Niners fan, wanted to go there.
Fred, they lose 3 years in a row to playoffs? Because I know they lost in 12.
Well, it was the one Kaepernick year where he ran wild. Remember, he had like 400 yards total,
right.
like 200 yards.
That was the first year.
Right? And then...
There was 1 year wild card round. They lost in Lambeau. So I remember 2 of them. Maybe it was another one. But I remember at least 2 years where they lost to Kaepernick specifically.
Yeah, and then there was the 1 year where Kaepernick lit him up like week 1 or 2 of the regular season.
That's right,
he threw 4 touchdowns.
I remember
it was actually the ensuing year after the wild card game. So, but what I think here is, I think Green Bay's coming off a bye, right?
Yeah,
they had a bye, and I do think that San Francisco's a little hobbled, right? Like
we don't know Kittle's status yet.
We don't know Kittle's status. Debo Samuel. He missed some time. He just got cleared to practice today, Thursday, at the time we're recording. Breida, I think they really like the mold Shanahan had in Atlanta. Coleman Freeman, now Coleman Breida. Breida being more of the Coleman role from Atlanta.
Mozart's making good plays. They had the game winner.
Yeah, Mozart is a famous guy from like the 1700s.
Okay, Greek god. Okay.
Yeah, it's Mostert.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
You're thinking about
from history.
Yeah. But and Jeff Wilson too. I think he scored the game-winning touchdown last week.
No, wasn't Mozart or no? Someone had it off the wheel route. Jimmy G hit him.
I want to say it was Jeff Wilson.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it was one of those two.
Yeah.
It was definitely one. It wasn't.
They have a lot of running back that.
And Debo Samuel, he's emerging as the guy that they.
He's so good after a catch.
Yeah, he's a beast. You know why they call him Debo, right? Because when he was a kid, the movie Friday, like that character Debo, and he was just like a bully to everyone when he was at a young age. Just like the way he played, like he was just like bitch slapping people, and
it's crazy. Him and Metcalf are in the same division.
Wow, yeah,
2 powerhouses. Even though Debo doesn't fumble like Metcalf, that fumble is crazy.
Yeah. So, how do you think, man? Because I really think that this is one of those games where like you look across and. I mean, I want to bet the Packers. I think the Packers here. I'm like way too confident in this one.
I think you're undervaluing the San Fran D a little bit, just given how good they are, especially that front four. They're going to create pressure. It doesn't matter who the opponent is; they're going after their quarterback. I think another cool dynamic is back in Atlanta when Shannon was the offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur was working under him. So you have a little bit of a coaching. Tree right there, which is kind of weird.
So would they all fall under the Jay Gruden coaching tree?
I'm not sure if LaFleur would be. Actually, maybe.
LaFleur was there with him too, because I remember seeing a graphic when Jay Gruden got let go by the Redskins, and they said how it wasn't too long ago where Jay Gruden was the McVay Shanahans of the world, and they're like, it was more downplaying the Redskins organization, which doesn't take that much to actually just shit on that organization, but they were saying how they had Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan all in their facility, and all of them said no to Washington.
Smart men. That's why they're coaching better teams at the moment. But I think he went from there. Then he went to Atlanta. Then he went to Green Bay. Then he went to Tennessee, and now he's in Green Bay. Because I remember I think he went 1 year to the Rams because he worked under McVay, LaFleur. So yeah, the fact that that's a very fun coaching matchup just seeing those two guys because they're two of the. But at least Shannon's one of the best offense. I'm still not sure LaFleur has a play caller yet. Like you could tell he's with the times, obviously, and I think he's done really well in terms of getting Rodgers easier throws to make compared to just the debacle that was Mike McCarthy. But I don't know, I think San Francisco could cause some problems this game just with their pass rush, and I do think their corners could really hold up. Mayo Mosley had a really good game against Seattle between him, and then I think Weatherspoon will be back. So they just have so many playmakers on a defense, so I do think they could challenge Rodgers. I think it'll come down to just – I'm going to see how Jimmy G plays because he's been very shaky over these past few weeks. I think the one now major knock at Jimmy G is like, why can't this guy see linebackers? Everyone's like, this guy just can't see linebackers because Wagner and KJ Wright both could have picked him off in that Monday night game, and I think Arizona had a couple opportunities too. So, how I'm valuing this game is besides the coaching battle and San Fran's D line, I just want to see how Jimmy G plays in their big spot because he has this, then you have the Ravens, and then the Saints. So these are 3 top 5 teams he's going up against, and he's really going to have to deliver because I think there are a lot of question marks about his play, especially given how bad he looked against Seattle.
What do you make of the backfield in Green Bay? Do you think it's because, that last game where Aaron Jones scored 3 touchdowns against the Panthers, him and Jamal Williams both played the same amount of snaps and got the same touches? It's just that Aaron Jones scored 3 touchdowns. Yeah. I think it's more of a committee than people are realizing over there.
It's weird because everyone talks about Jones being the far superior talent, which I think he is, but I think Jamal Williams has shown a little bit of improvement. He actually could be used as a receiver, and he has been breaking tackles. See, people like Aaron Jones, he's just so dynamic. Just the way he just accelerates past defense. Williams is more of a power guy, but I do think they have to limit Jones' carries because he does get injured a bit. I don't think he could truly handle the workload of say like a Dalvin Cook or a Zeke. So, I think that's a good call by you. They are definitely more of a committee, which I expect because I didn't think Jamal Williams was any good last year.
Yeah, I mean, I made this point last year how sometimes I might be old school, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I love the eye test. And last year, I didn't know what the PFF grade was. I didn't know what this advanced analytics was between the two because remember, Aaron Jones was suspended last year, first couple of games, and it was Jamal Williams. And I was just like, abandon the Jamal Williams shit. Aaron Jones, it just looks better. The offense just flows better when he's out there. And, yeah, he's become the back, but, now it's, they both look good. It's weird.
LaFleur, he's done a good job, especially, and also the Green Bay's offensive line looks a little better this year as well, so that helps. But I don't think Aaron Jones is probably the guy that you could fully depend on. He's not the 20, 25 carry back. So I think that's what LaFleur is kind of recognized. So, but I don't know. It's just going to be crazy watching this Rodgers try to handle that San Fran pass rush. I love watching that pass rush get after. Just that defense in general is playing such a high level. But then again, you have to look at the other side ball with Jimmy G. I just have major concerns right now. It wouldn't surprise me if he threw 2 or 3 picks because he looks very jittery right now.
Yeah, and that defense can they could definitely pressure the quarterback, man.
San Fran's all very you assume Staley and McGlinchey can't play any worse than they did against Seattle, but even Chandler Jones is getting after him, and we see both Preston and Zadarius Smith. That could be an issue as well. Because Green Bay's defense, they're hard cold. They allow a lot of explosive plays, but they're still going to make their own plays. They're going to create pass rush. They're going to force turnovers between Jair Alexander's top. And I think Darnell Savage is having a really good year, so there's still a lot of playmakers on the Green Bay defense, even though they do allow quite a lot of big plays.
Who are you going with in this Sunday night game? Some good primetime games on this week, man.
Yeah.
Monday night game, too. I think Rams-Ravens is interesting. I know we're not going to touch on that too much, but definitely want to.
I'm going to go Packers. I love what San Fran's doing. I just have major concerns about Jimmy G right now. I thought he looked absolutely terrible against Seattle. He was very fortunate. Just not knowing Kittle, I think he does miss Kittle a lot as well. Who one of the guys just creates mismatches left and right. Losing him, he's irreplaceable. So I think missing him would be a factor if he is out. But I don't trust him, Jimmy G, in a big spot right now. So I'm going to rely on Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
I think that's fair. I think this is a very telling game for Jimmy G and the Niners, right? We saw them It was that one game. I guess the first one was against the Browns. They beat them up pretty bad, but the Browns are just dysfunctional. We've spent so much time on them. But yeah, this is this is gonna be a game where you're gonna probably see Green Bay again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you mentioned the schedule, man. You got Green Bay, you got Baltimore, and then you got the Saints.
Both on the road.
So this
two hostile environments.
And you have to go back to Seattle. So you have a tough
last and you got a home game against the Red Hot Falcons. Sorry about that.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Green Bay as well, man. I'm going with Green Bay as well.
Yo, speaking of Paul's on the screen right now. Salute to Paul. He's got a big beard now. Yeah, I just
holy shit.
But I do want to mention about San Fran, even though because everyone talks about the Seattle game. Oh, it was close. If Affetti doesn't lose his mind and try to run with the fumble, I think people forget about that. That game really shouldn't have been competitive at the end. Just Affetti, I don't know what he was thinking. So that's why people are saying, okay, San Fran played such a great game in Seattle. They were a little fortunate. We have to say that.
All right, guys. There you have it for this week's episode.
Can we quickly mention one thing? Did you watch the full Sunday night game?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you lost years off your life watching it?
And come on. I mean, I've been.
It was really bad. Like we had to talk just.
Oh, the Trubisky thing.
Or just Trubisky, golf in general. McVay lost all faith in him to throw the ball downfield, and when he did, he actually made a couple nice throws. But it just
got called back. The bomb to Josh Reynolds was
Whitworth illegal formation. Yeah.
Yo, listen, Jared Goff throws a really nice deep ball.
He's just, I don't know, man. He looks scared though right now.
It seemed like they got Gurley going. What do you have? 25 plus touches he had.
Yeah, which is fair.
That was a trademark Gurley game.
But they knew they had to win this game, and just not having Robert Woods and Cooks might be done for the year. So it's just crazy seeing that Rams offense, because I think a few days ago was the 1 year anniversary of that Chiefs game.
Oh, shit, yeah.
That offense was just so crazy to watch. And now they're playing the Bears, albeit a damn good defense. But still, it's just like McVay's coaching scared. You could tell he doesn't have full confidence in Goff anymore. You know, Goff made a couple of nice throws, but still, it's weird watching that Rams offense. And the Bears, God. If they're on any more... even 4 o'clock game, just flex them out. The Bears are a 1 o'clock team. Put them with the Dolphins and Jets. Like
they play the Giants this week. Show.
Oh, you're gonna enjoy that.
Shit show. Yeah, I can't believe I'm gonna have to watch that one. But anyway, All right, there you have it, folks. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the podcast on all outlets. Gonna have a big announcement for the show moving forward in a couple of weeks. Just ironing out a couple of details. Check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/veteransminimum. We're recording now, so the full episode will be up by hopefully Friday evening. You'll be able to watch the episode, and then we'll be breaking up major talking points. Patreon.com/veteransminimum. Over there is you can sign up for the contest. Going to be doing more giveaways. I was talking to Danny Lopriori and what he does over there with the Stank about how they do their giveaways, and shout out to him. He gave me some input. Going to be doing that. Hats, maybe games, jerseys, shit like that. Shout out to my guy Ahmed. He gave me some hats from his job. Schmetty, yeah. So we'll be giving away some MLB hats as well. And yeah, I got some merch and whatnot. Black Friday is coming up, so we'll be doing some fun stuff. You guys can get some discounts. The hats and the shirts are $25 a pop. Maybe we'll do I'm feeling nice. I'm feeling generous. It's the holidays. Maybe we'll do a package of both for, let's go $40. So you get $10 off there. A nice little discount. So hit us up at Veterans Minimum is where you can find the show on all social media outlets. And we will catch you guys next time, baby.